There's a secret Steve Vai level or something in here. It's just Halo.
Steve Vai did the Halo level in LocoRoco.
The warthogs in the background escaping the level with you.
Welcome to this show. We're here to talk about some video games.
Jason David talking about video games. It's video game optimism.
Yeah. Listener, you'll be able to tell when my lovely dear bride is not in the house, and I can just sort of shout during the intro of Video Game Podtimism, the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase.
And my name is David.
You can tell when I'm just here alone and I can kind of make a clown out of myself. For you.
For you, dear listener.
Yeah. It's just for the podcast. It's for the video games, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's for the good of the people.
Also, just real quick, realize that it's been a little while since we've introed ourselves, and I know that there's a good number of new folks who jumped on in the Kingdom Hearts episode. Hello, thank you for listening. Just wanted to set the stage for kind of what this is and what we do here. Video Game Podtimism is a space that we have made to try and take a critical look at video games without it being like a buyer's guide and more trying to find the fun in any given game, because there's always something that is good in a game. And so we try and find what that is. Sometimes that's easier than other times.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the thing we do here. I mean, you know, it's a video game podcast. You know what it is.
Yeah, we love video games, and we want to talk about what we love about these games and how they make our lives better.
That is true. Also, for anybody who's been sticking around, thank you. And also, if you wouldn't mind tossing a review our way, that would be incredibly helpful. We usually put this at the end of the episode, but figured we'd ask up front every now and then. So if you have the ability to do that on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that would be a great help to us. So yeah, thank you in advance for that, or just thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Anyway, video games. David, have you been playing those?
I have been playing video games, Chase.
I would love to hear about them.
I have, of course, been still playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you in your journey now?
I am in the Shadowlands, Chase.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shadowed up.
Yeah, the Shadowlands is pretty big. What like kind of beats have you hit without totally blowing the story for people who haven't gotten there yet?
I'm pretty early in it.
Okay.
I've just, I guess, depending on what you do, I'm with the Harpers now.
Yep. Yeah.
So pretty early on in the Shadowlands, we pretty much just went over through there, through to there. But man, this game is just something else. Really, truly something else. And something that I haven't seen or heard too many people talking about. Maybe I just haven't been in the right places. But Larian's ability to just kind of flawlessly start making amazing facial motion capture and like characterization that way, because Divinity 1 and 2 did not have any of that. Like they had trailers for the game that had some like animated faces, but to go so far as to make these people have such detailed emotive faces during the conversations is pretty impressive that they just nailed it.
I know, yeah.
Right out of the gate. This developer is amazing. They're so good. They're so good.
I know that they did a lot of motion capture, like just for the conversations when people are talking. Mm-hmm. They not only did the like facial capture, but the body capture too.
Yeah.
I feel like that adds a lot to be able to see someone's like body language when they're talking to you.
Absolutely, because we're not just faces, we're not just heads, right? This isn't what LA Noire. You know, it's a whole entire body language that you are getting now because of that. It really is just sticking out to me, because now that we've had a little bit more time with our characters, there have been some emotional scenes as characters share their feelings for one another.
Yes.
And their ability to effectively convey that, not just through what people are saying, but also through what you're seeing, is pretty darn exceptional, I think, in just games in general, honestly. Not just for a CRPG, but man, they are really setting a new standard for this genre that is going to be hard to measure up against. So But if it means that more companies are going to make AAA CRPGs, I'm here for it. New golden age of CRPGs. Let's go, baby. I'm stoked on it.
There was that whole conversation, I feel like maybe a month or so ago online about like some people, or I think there was a conversation that started with Zalavir Nelson Jr. online had talked about this, which I will bring him up in a second again, had said like, hey, this game is really awesome, but like, I don't want people to expect that every game needs to be this.
Sure.
Which I think is a fair request, you know, like it is, he had mentioned there too, like this is GTA levels of depth in this game. Like,
yeah,
there's just so much in here. And that's like awesome because we get to experience it and it's cool, but it is a Herculean effort to do that.
Yeah.
And like this game has been in early access for like 3 years. So they've had a lot of time to hone it and kind of crush all the bugs and make sure that things work in the way that they intended to. And a lot of games don't get that, right? They get launched and then they're either good or bad. And that's like the end of their life. And there was like, I think a lot of the internet didn't really know how to handle that. A lot of people took that as indie developer says that gamers are being too expecting with
demanding
how good. Yeah. Too demanding with how much they want out of their games. Which isn't what he was saying at all.
No.
And I think that like it kind of got turned into a straw man on the internet. People were just saying like, we should be able to want these games. I don't know why that was a Jordan Peterson. But
have you been watching Jordan Peterson, Chase?
No, that's the thing.
I don't know. That was a pretty good impersonation.
I just want more CRPGs in my video game consciousness.
Let us be clear that we do not endorse Jordan Peterson in any way, shape, or form.
Jordan stinks. He's bad. He's
more
stinky.
like Jordan Peterson, more like Jordan Stinkerson. Am I right?
They absolutely got him. He's not going to be able to exist on the internet.
His whole career's over now that I just zinged him like that.
But yeah, I think like people sort of took that in a weird direction, but I'm extremely glad that Larian was able to do this, but also recognize that like this is a high bar for the series and it's kind of like not a mistake, but it's very rare for a company to be able to invest this much in it, to be able to get this much time to do it. It's also like Larian's a privately held company, so they don't really have like, you know, stakeholders pushing them like you have to do this kind of game or you need to get it out by this point.
Yeah.
And so they are more able to make decisions about like, what do we want this to look like? How committed are we to making a CRPG at all?
It's great.
It's good, right? Like there are good parts of this. And so I just also want to put the nuance in there of like, it's going to be so hard to top this for so many reasons. And
absolutely
none. Yeah, and none of those reasons are lazy devs, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that the internet sort of latches onto sometimes, and it's just like asinine. Like, it's just not true.
Greedy publishers, yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Stakeholders, investors,
shareholders,
they're the people who are...
all those folks, you know, it's just, I didn't know that they were a privately held company. That makes a lot more sense that they were able to put this polish on this. But I'm just like, maybe there needs to be more privately held game development companies. Why aren't there like developer co-ops, right, where every developer who works there has like a stake in the company, and just see what happens from there. I don't know if that's the thing that is happening at all, but that would be cool.
Yes, like most problems, unions are not a bad solution to them.
Not at all. Game developers union, let's do it. But yeah, and I think at least at the very least, having a game like this in existence at least gives other people who want to make a similar game something to chase, you know, something to aspire to, something to want to vault over, right? They've set the bar, they've set the world record, and now it's time for other people to kind of get there on their own and push the boundaries and just see what happens. Unfortunately, the angry person who lives in capitalism in me is like, okay, but the greedy corporations are just going to try to push this too fast and just ruin it all. Yeah. And then we'll be the ones who get not as good of a product.
Yeah, I'm interested to see like what people take out of this, because you're right that like it is a very cool moment for CRPGs to be popular, and like I truly do not need every CRPG to be this big. No. You know, like I don't need it to be this big. I don't need to have this many options. I don't really even need it to have combat. Like I'm interested for people to just take like a bit of this game and be like, I would like to push on the dialogue system, and that's it.
So you're telling me that you want a dating sim CRPG?
I'm in, dude. I'm in.
Just give me Fire Emblem, take all the combat out of it, and just put me in there, and I'll start dating folks left and right.
Let me flirt it up. Let me roll some dice to determine how hot I am, you know?
It's all just persuasion and deception checks.
Yeah, persuasion, deception, performance.
Performance for sure. Yeah, I mean, I can't laud it enough. It's just so good. We're starting to experiment with more of our other companions as well. I have Gale in my party now.
Nice.
Just the sassy wizard boy. Sassy wizard boy got a pretty interesting story too.
Yes, I think everybody does, but it's cool that they were able to make it compelling for everybody.
Yeah,
I'm always interested in what's going on with every person in the party.
Yeah, they did such a good job of making every companion feel unique. No one feels like, you're just kind of a retread of this person over here.
Yeah.
They are all very individual people. It makes them feel like real beings, real creatures, real humans and other things.
I like that they show them like that they have flaws with these people, but that they're not like comical flaws a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like this is a bad character, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You're playing as Lae'zel, so you don't get as much of the like just wild, like, I'm going to break your neck.
I don't. Every once in a while she says something and I'm just walking around, I'm like, oh my God, that's what I sound like to people? My God.
Yeah. But it's cool to be able to experience flaws in ways that feel more human than just like, I'm a bad guy. I kill for fun. You know?
Also, real quick question.
Yeah.
That insane looking, spoilers or creature description spoilers for the second act in the Shadowlands of Baldur's Gate 3, real quick.
Yeah.
Carnassus, that spider elf creature that has the magic lantern, is that pronounced a D-rider or a drider?
A drider.
A drider. Because I just saw D-rider the whole time. I'm just like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah, it's like it's Spider-Man. It's like a spider centaur. A drider. Yeah.
D-rider is more fun.
You know, chase your joy, whatever that may be.
So I've been playing that pretty intensely.
Yeah.
And then I somehow also managed to find a way to beat Chicory amongst all of this.
Oh, wow. Nice. Love that.
What a very different game than Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh my God, yeah. Just total opposites.
Yeah. Very bright and colorful and just sweet, and not even sweet, but just understanding.
Yeah.
Compassionate. It's a compassionate game.
Yeah, that's true.
And just a lot of really good secrets and puzzles thrown throughout. Really love the ending of the game after when they're rolling the credits and it just shows you different areas of the game and how you've interacted with them and colored them and everything. Really great. And I also love just the ending of the game. It just felt like every single area you went to was kind of tackling a different area of mental health. Yeah. Which was interesting. I really appreciated the part in, was it Simmer Springs? One of the two, where they're really talking about work-life boundaries. I'm like, this hits, this slaps right now. This is so good. Yeah. It just says it in such a matter-of-fact way, like, hey, this is what you should do, and I respect you for doing that. If only the world worked that way, but it could if we all try.
If we all unionize.
If we all unionize, they can't get us. This has been your radicalization for the week. But yeah, and I did really enjoy how, I mean, it came a little bit predictable at the very end, but I don't think that made it any less poignant or emotional when it did happen.
Yeah, it was predictable, but not necessarily bad. You know?
It didn't feel hackneyed or like they're forcing it or anything like that. Yeah. I felt like, no, this is just a natural progression of these characters and the story, and like this is, of course, what would happen once you make this discovery. Yeah. So yeah, just a very fun, I'm having trouble describing how I felt playing this game. It's a very interesting emotion. It's not quite peaceful. Yeah. It is a feeling of comfort. It's, I think, supportive. It's like a supportive game. This game is trying to support you, the player, to believe in yourself and to have good personal and emotional boundaries and self-worth. And I think that's a very interesting ability for, or an interesting track for a game to try and go down. And also something very unique to games that because the game can interact back to you, you are able to feel that more poignantly.
Yeah. Totally.
Very good game.
I feel like the game offers a lot of emotional space for you. Yeah. Like it somehow can hold space. Like that's usually something that I need humans to do. But the game is able to do it in a way that's like, we're going to give you enough time and enough stuff to think about, to kind of like feel yourself out here and like think about how you feel in these situations and what this game makes you feel and all that sort of stuff. without it being like, I don't know, it feels a lot less like it is telling you a story and more asking you to kind of like imprint on what is going on in the game. At least for me personally, left me with a lot of feelings. It left me with a lot of thoughts about the game that weren't just like, wasn't that cool? It's like, I feel a certain way now. I feel a little bit more clear with my emotions in certain parts. So yeah, it's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't have set pieces or anything like that. It just has pretty solid, fun combat and interesting puzzles and makes you feel good. Makes you feel doesn't even make you feel good. It just makes you feel seen and heard and felt. Yeah,
that's true.
It's a very unique experience. It's the kind of like the feeling you get after going to therapy, honestly.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just kind of full but empty at the same time. I'm speaking in riddles now.
You're devoid of like things that are worrying you, and you are more present with how you're feeling. Exactly.
Yeah. You get rid of all the bad stuff, and so all the good stuff can just like hang out.
Yeah.
Feels nice.
So yeah. Video games.
Really enjoyed that game. Special little game.
Totally.
Chase, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing some video games. The one that I want to touch on the quickest, because I don't have that much to say.
The quickest touch, you say?
The quickest touch. I don't have much to say, but I did want to mention it one more time, is Lies of P. I did beat this game, and it felt, I wouldn't say compulsive, but the same sort of draw that draws me through the FromSoft games drew me through this one, where I was like, I gotta keep going. I gotta play this video game.
Sure.
Just thereby adding to it's supporting the idea that like, wow, this is a very good game that knows exactly what FromSoft is doing. Like I said last week, I don't know that it is doing a ton of stuff super different than a FromSoft game does, but it does it really well. So
why not?
If you like those games, you probably will like this too.
What kind of build did you use?
I used a Dex build. Fast. I feel like these games usually kind of like you using Dex builds. I like, for the first couple of times that I played through any Dark Souls games, I was usually big sword go clang kind of guy.
Yeah.
Just get like
Unga Bunga, I believe is they call it.
Yeah, Unga Bunga caveman build. Because I would just need to find a couple of openings to hit someone. And like, usually there's about one that I can get in and then be like, all right, I just took a lot of their health away.
Yeah. Now time to roll very slowly away.
Yeah. But I have found that over the years of playing these games that like, it's not a bad idea to be able to roll a lot. And that's what I did here.
I love me some dodging.
It's good. I will say that one of the things that I felt sort of mixed about in this game, not in a way that really like ruined the experience, but there are some things that you have to unlock via the kind of like skill tree that I'm like, man, I wish I just had that. Like there's some stuff that comes pretty standard in FromSoft games that I was like, I would have liked to have that the whole game, I think.
Like what?
Rolling while you're on the ground was one of them. Like if you get knocked down, there's usually a pretty good chance if an enemy wants to, they can hit you again on the ground.
Gotcha.
One of them is how much like stagger the parry does. Essentially, if you block right before somebody hits you, it's counted as a parry. But until you unlock something, it doesn't do a lot of like actual stagger to the person that's hitting.
Yeah.
It just kind of like hurts their weapon. And so if there's an enemy that has like a brittle weapon, you can sometimes break it. If you do a couple of perfect like parries. But I think like there are a lot of games like in Dark Souls, there's the like shield parry. In Bloodborne, the like gun parry that somehow you went a lot of the game without knowing.
I did. I was just quick stepping like a madman.
I know. Yeah. You just went plus ultra and didn't even give a shit.
It's like, this is the power of Ultra Instinct.
But all of those games kind of come standard with this stuff. And it's a lot more about like just discovering how to do it and mastering that skill rather than like, I need to go through a skill tree to unlock this stuff. And so there was some stuff in there that I was like, I wish that was just in there.
Gotcha.
But, you know, not a deal breaker, just something that I had noticed.
Gotcha.
Another very similar concept to a game I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, anyway, Lies of P, fun game. I will say there is a totally strange and bizarre post-credit scene that I'm like, is this what you guys are setting up for this like cinematic universe right now?
Oh, is it going to be like the sins of Peter Pan or something in the next one?
I will cut this out, but they referenced post-credit scene. I'm like, what? Anyway, I think it's a very interesting and fun game. And if you like those games, you will probably like Lies of P too.
Cool.
The next game that I want to talk about is this game called El Paso Elsewhere. This is a game that I had heard nothing about until like a week ago. I saw a lot of buzz about it online, specifically on Twitter. There was this guy who I've followed for a while who's like gotten a lot of attention. Same dude who had mentioned the Baldur's Gate thing, Xalavier Nelson Jr. He is the creative director at this place called Strange Scaffold, which is a game company that purports to have like better work conditions and support cheaper and faster, worse looking games, like the meme always says, you know? And I've been interested in kind of like watching their process because I want this company to succeed. I want them to be like good and that model to pay off. And I'd even read that like El Paso Elsewhere almost didn't get made because like Xalavier had to go like look for funding for it. And a lot of the people who are saying like, yeah, we might fund this, but you need to start crunching, right?
Sure.
That it was hard to find people who would say like, okay, we'll pay for it without that caveat, because they were pretty steadfast about being like, no, we're going to make it and it's going to be 40-hour work week. So like, it was a hard thing to do. And I think it's admirable that they're pushing the industry in that direction, even though it is pretty challenging to do that. But I had seen him kind of like blowing this game up because it had just released, it was made by their company, and it was getting like pretty good reviews. Like there are people who were like, yeah, this is a great game. What this game actually is that it is a lo-fi kind of between like PS1 and PS2 era graphics. It's not specifically one or the other.
Chase is interested.
I'm interested immediately. And it is a third-person shooter. You are playing as this dude named James Savage, whose ex-girlfriend is a vampire that is currently trying to destroy the world.
Enough said.
Good, right? Very fun setup.
Said.
You get these like very kind of serious, but like the game knows that it's also kind of funny monologues in the beginning of the game and throughout, actually, where James is talking about like, yeah, I gotta like go into this motel in El Paso to try and like stop her from doing this, essentially. And it's gonna be all fucked up. And I got to take a bunch of pills to do it and shit.
What kind of pills?
Just pills. Doesn't say. Just says drugs. You know,
disambiguated pills.
Pills. Yeah. So that's what the game is. You are going into this hotel, which somehow has connection to the void, as he calls it. And you are going down an elevator in this motel from like level by level, clearing out like monsters that I think are vampires and saving hostages, essentially. So that's the setup. If you have played Max Payne, it feels a lot like Max Payne in the way that it actually like controls and feels, which like, I wouldn't say that I'm crazy about Max Payne. That's not a game that I'm like, dude, talk about good game design. I'm just nuts about Max Payne.
Bullet time, baby.
I remember that being pretty influential and interesting at the time. And for no other reason than bullet time was like, I'm pretty sure that was the first game that really did bullet time.
One of them, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, where when you're shooting, you can slow down time and you can essentially get a better shot on someone, which is something you find in a lot of video games that almost comes standard with a lot of shooter games.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was kind of shocking and a neat idea. But this game definitely lifts a lot of that in just the way that it feels, right? Like at any time you can do the Max Payne thing where you jump forward and you can slow down time to shoot people while you're in the air and stuff. It also reminds me a bit of like a Doom or a Quake, in that oftentimes the way through the levels is to like just kind of like worm your way through the doors that are open, find a key, go double back, go to another area, maybe discover a secret, and then finish by like getting to the elevator, right?
Sure.
It's like very video gamey. You know, like the stuff that I'm describing is like, I feel like a lot of the stuff that we talk about on good games, this game applies to that, where it's like, these are pretty tried and true mechanics. But they just come together in such a fun way. Even outside of this game, like being the aesthetic that I kind of enjoy, it's so much fun. Like the easiest thing to say about this game is just it's fun as fuck. That's fun as fuck. That is a selling point for it. It's always satisfying to shoot these vampires in these levels. It is just the right combination of challenging. You will feel challenged by the game, but it at no point feels impossible. All of the guns that they give you feel great. The levels are very interesting in a way that like sometimes reaches the heights of like a Control or something like that, where the physical 3D space is being manipulated in a way where it's like confusing and your perspective is changing a lot, or you'll run into a hallway that suddenly like extends itself way far away from you or something like that. So yeah, really, really cool stuff there that I just think is like a very cool application of a lot of different kinds of games. I feel like something we bring up with good games all the time is like, you could make something like a game that we're talking about, and if it just had some like modern affordances of like, you know, saving at reasonable times, the low load times not being disastrous, the dialogue being just like okay at the very least, or just saying like something, you know, that it would be a good game. And I think this game is a really good example of that, where it's very mechanical focused. Like the focus of this game is feeling good and having fun. And there's like a story playing out, and like I think that it's going to culminate in a way that I think is fun and cool. They're clearly laying the groundwork for like, this is either going to be a metaphor or some kind of comparison. Like it seems like these things are actually happening, but they keep flashing back to the relationship between, I think the guy in the game pronounces it Draculae, the vampire ex-girlfriend.
Draculae?
Yes, yeah.
That's not the plural of Draculas? It's not like Dracula's, Draculae, but she is singularly Draculae.
Yeah, it's just a one person. And she's like from Transylvania, like a full-blown vampire.
Beautiful.
And like there are these flashbacks, and they keep like talking to each other, and it seems like they're establishing the bounds of this relationship, which is fun and cool. And I like them together. I think the two people playing those characters have a lot of like chemistry together, which is cool. I think that the person playing James Savage is doing a pretty good job, for not saying the writing is bad, but I think it is intentionally trying to evoke the kind of like Max Payne dialogue that is taking itself very seriously.
Sure.
I think he's doing a great job. He's really selling like that vibe where it is being serious without feeling like The Last of Us or something.
Sure.
It's it remains fairly fun throughout, and he's like, you know, doing a little bit of joking here and there, but it never rises to like full blown winking at the camera like we're in a Marvel movie. It's just kind of like there is some self-awareness on his part, but not overwhelming.
I have a quick question. Why is he the one who is the only person capable of stopping his ex-girlfriend? Is there a lore reason for that, or he's just like, I gotta go do it, it's just me?
It hasn't told me explicitly why it's him. I think that he is one of the only people aware that this is happening, that like this is a thing that is going on.
It's a secret.
But I also presume that there will be some kind of explanation as to like his relationship with this woman is what will be able to like stop the cataclysm, you know?
Gotcha.
I just think it's great. I think it's a very good example of a game that isn't shooting for AAA and is still doing amazing stuff. I think that there was a reaction to the kind of mid 2000s to like 2013, 2014 era games where it felt like game design thought of itself, and this is, I'm saying this like as a whole, like not any individual person, but just like kind of the direction games went, that game design felt like it was moving in kind of a straight line for a little while, that like there are iterations and we're not really supposed to look back on how things used to be, at least mechanically, right?
Yeah.
I think that a bit like the first big game that I noticed that felt like it was kind of in defiance of that was Breath of the Wild, where it said, we are going to take the ideology that we had in the very first Zelda game and make a game out of that. And like, that's an idea worth revisiting. I think just for a while, we were so caught up, where video games were so caught up in graphical advancement, mechanical advancement, and like pushing things forward in that way, that it felt like, why would we ever return to what things were before? Because like we are inherently better now.
Yeah.
And like, you know, partially some of that I think is fine, but it's interesting to see something that is exploring the value of older styles of games visually and mechanically here. They're exploring that not just through kind of like games criticism and revisiting it and playing these older games, but in this case, revisiting it creatively, right? Like making a game in that way that is more than just a visual nod, right? Like I love all of the PS1 lo-fi stuff, and I love games that play exactly like a PlayStation 1 game. That's also fine with me. But it is interesting to see somebody say like, what does a Max Payne game look like in 2023? Yeah. What if that still is fun? And what of it can we lift and put in here and like make a sort of like stew with a bunch of other mechanics from other stuff?
Stew it up.
You really got a stew going here. I just think it's great. It's really neat. It's a cool experiment. It's also like, you know, it's cheaper than most games. I think it was made in less time than a lot of AAA games, which I'm happy about. That's delivering on the promise that Strange Scaffold has put out there of like, we're going to make games in a smaller development time that are not going to look like Cyberpunk, but
right.
But we will do something fun. There will be a fun game in there.
Yeah,
which I think is great. I think it's really fun. I think this and Signalis make a pretty good point for like, there is value in the lo-fi scene, and just like it's cool to see where people push that stuff, because Signalis could have been a just kind of standard Resident Evil retread, but it's doing a lot more, and I think this game is doing a lot more than those games originally were. And I just find it fascinating and so cool to be able to like experience this stuff without it being just like a nostalgia cash grab, you know?
Sure.
Which is neat. It's cool.
Feels good.
Yeah, it feels good. El Paso elsewhere. It's just fun. It's very fun.
It's just fun. That's the tagline. It's just fun.
The final game that I'm playing, David, it's a game called Cyberpunk 2077.
Phantom Liberty?
Phantom Liberty.
Hey, is the DLC.
The downloadable content for Cyberpunk 2077. There are two big things to talk about with this DLC and a little bit of preamble to that. I played a lot of this game last year. I think I talked about it a fair bit. I didn't play like an unreasonable amount, but it was like 50 or 60 hours. By the end of it, I was like, yeah, that feels like that was a lot of game that I experienced. And this was after they had done, I think it was the 1.6 update that made it to the point where Cyberpunk felt like, I think this is probably what people were expecting on launch day, or at least close to it, where there's a lot fewer bugs. The game felt like it should. The streets were filled with people. Jackie didn't like clip through a door whenever he went through it in the beginning.
Oh, Yaki.
And so like I enjoyed it. Like I said at the time, I think I was hoping for a more full-throated criticism of capitalistic societies, just because that was what Cyberpunk was doing originally, that it had a lot to say about like living under capitalism. Yeah. And I think this game did a little bit, but I don't think it said it with its chest very often. But at the same time, the game was very fun. Mechanically, I thought it was like just neat and cool. It didn't get to the heights of like a Deus Ex, but there were times where I felt like I feel like I can approach a situation from a multitude of different ways. And that feels pretty good to me. Like I like being able to build a character and have that mean something in this world where, you know, I put a bunch of stats into being stronger. So sometimes I can just pull a door off its hinges if I need to get through it. Beautiful. Or if I am a like hacker build that I can hack into stuff that I wouldn't normally be able to do. I like that. I think that was a fun way to build a game. So yeah, I played a fair bit of it. I do not care for Johnny Silverhand, but he's in there too.
But do you care for Keanu still?
I'm cool with Keanu. It's very bizarre. Like, I feel like oftentimes Keanu is kind of playing a different shade of Keanu, but he's played a very different character in this game. And that character is a high school student who just read any sort of critical literature about capitalism and is just like so pretentious about it, is so bad about it.
Yeah.
Like in ways that are not very effective all the time, just kind of wants to talk shit about people.
Yeah. You ask him like what he's going to get for lunch that day and he just starts going off about the system and capitalism and how terrible it is. Just like, I just want to know if you're getting a burrito or not, man.
Yeah. Like, can we focus for 1 second? I get like, I too don't feel good about being separated from the true value of my labor, my dude. But like, can we just hang out for a hot second? I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Outside of like being like, fuck the system, man. Wake up, kid. I gotta talk shit about Chipotle. So I just wasn't crazy about my name, Johnny.
I was imagining Johnny Silverhand just breaking into a child's home and be like, wake up, kid. Here's the truth about Chipotle.
You gotta order in person. They give you more compared to when you order online.
Just keep asking for a little bit extra.
They'll give you a lot of beans if you just keep asking. They don't charge you extra for beans.
Think about how your cost per calorie goes down to that point.
Oh my God. So that is where I have arrived to this game. And there's recently been a big push of like, hey, Cyberpunk has got this DLC, come check it out. That also went hand in hand with a big update to Cyberpunk 2.0 is what they're calling it.
Oh, wow.
So it is a pretty significant mechanical change to the game.
Okay.
They have redone a lot of stuff.
Oh.
When I fired it up the other day, I was fully expecting like, I'm going to get into Phantom Liberty. I'm going to check it out, see what's going on. I instead spent an hour and a half just sort of like looking through the menus of like, what has changed in here?
Oh my gosh.
How do I need to change how I play this game? And it almost feels like when you haven't played a MMO in a while and you come back and it's like, hey, we refunded all your skills. Your armor really sucks now, and you need to learn a bunch of new stuff. Not necessarily in a bad way. I know that can sound overwhelming, but I was I was more just like interested in like, how has this game changed so dramatically? Because I think the thing that struck me at first, or at least that was the most noticeable change for me, is that the skill tree is just completely different. It is totally redone.
Okay.
Essentially what they have is that before this 2.0 update, a lot of these skills that you would be investing points into were a lot of like passive bonuses that you would get, right? It's a lot of like upgrade your health by this much, or you do X amount more damage with sniper rifles or something like that. That has now been moved into a like skill progression menu where you don't really choose any of that. It operates a lot more like Oblivion, where like if you use your sneaking skills, you will get more passive sneaking skill buffs.
Oh, cool.
Which is cool with me. Yeah, I really love that system in Oblivion. I think it works here too, where if you're doing a lot of shooting, you'll get more shooting points.
Yeah, I also played a good bit of Cyberpunk when it went to 1.6. One of my pet peeves in gaming is like a skill tree where the skills you unlock are 0.25% more damage to this when you're in this position. Like it, of course, does it help? Yes, but does it make me feel like, okay, that's a cool or fun thing that I'm like wanting to spend my skill point on? Not really.
Not really.
Yeah. So I think that's great that they did that.
Yeah. I think the also good part about it is that what they have replaced the skill tree with is that it's essentially another skill tree, but the things that you are choosing are much more tangible and much more meaningful. Like the last time I played, I invested a lot of points in the like strength skill tree because there's a lot of stuff in there about like make your health bigger, make it so you can take less damage,
arms.
Gorilla arms was one of them, or be able to, rip doors off their hinges and shit. And when I popped open that skill tree again, it was totally different stuff. It was like you can, it's a lot more like melee focused now, where you can do like adrenaline rush, where you slow down time when you get up close to somebody or something like that. Or you have a much different ability to hit people or take damage or whatever. But very few passive things in there. I was thrilled with the, like, I think they call it the cool stat in this one.
Great.
Because it gives you so many options for how to fight people. Essentially, you get like dashes and air dashes now.
Air dashes?
Yes, where you jump and you can dash in midair to get over to somebody. And so it offers you all these ways to be like...
Can I wave dash?
Yeah, you can wave dash as Fox in Cyberpunk now.
That's all I've ever wanted.
But it offers a pretty significant and tangible way to change your play style. There's just a lot of very significant things you can do to alter how you approach any given situation. I can't remember the name of the stat, but essentially the one that allows you to have more like cyber upgrades is really significant here, because there are upgrades that allow you to like really modify your alterations to your body. Before, it kind of felt like, yeah, that's like a cool upgrade that I can get, but I don't necessarily know if that's going to change the way I play. But there's a huge menu of shit that you can alter now that a lot of the time it's like it will give you straight up more armor so that you can take more damage without actually getting hit, or how significant your jump is or anything like that. Your gorilla arms or your like swords that come out of your arm and shit.
Sure.
All that stuff is like really built out in a way that I think is probably closer to what people were thinking of when they were thinking of, I want to make a character in Cyberpunk. It feels grounded in a way that I really, really like. It's cool. I'm enjoying that part of the game.
So how does it work for a character you've already had created? Do you just go in and you're just given a bunch of points to start going through the tree that you want?
Yes. Essentially, when I popped it open the other day, they said, hey, we've refunded all your skill tree progression. And so, choose again. You can also, I think this is the case, but what happened for me too was I did all that and I was like, actually, I don't like this. And then you can refund those points again and do it again.
Oh, cool.
And so I think they know that this is probably not the cleanest experience, but that like it does offer you a couple tries to be like, well, if you want to, you can, try out your previous build or whatever and see if that works for you, or do something totally different.
Oh, cool.
It wasn't like I had everything unlocked, which was nice because I still had to consider like I can't just unlock every bit of this skill tree. I still have to kind of focus in certain areas, but it was cool. I think it's neat. I suspect that making a new character, they probably explain a lot of this in a better way, because like what it didn't do, and I'm almost happy about this, is that 100 text boxes didn't pop up to say like, here's what this does now.
Oh man,
which is cool because I can figure it out. I just got to like kind of dig in there and look around. Oh, another big change is that they removed most of the stat modifiers that clothes give you.
Oh, so clothes are just clothes now.
They're pretty much just clothes now. There's like, I've noticed there's like stats on some helmets will give you like plus 7% to not being seen, but it's like not the dramatic thing that it was before where like a lot of your stats were driven by your clothes.
I'm totally fine with that.
Me too. I don't need it to all be connected into like a million different places. I'm cool with, and it seems like what they were trying to do with this is simplify the things that don't need to be complicated.
Yeah.
And expand on things that should feel more important. Like
your aesthetic, your fit.
You're fit, and like, do you want to be a big strong guy or a sneaky ninja? You know?
Yeah.
And so I think all of those updates are really cool and really neat. It makes the game feel very different. I really had to like try it out for a while. So like I just like go do random side missions to be like, I need to remember how to like shoot in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I also a note for people who maybe played it before and are playing it again. I really had to mess with the control settings in the like just the controller menu. Because the way that the like weapon sway worked is that it did the thing where if you press right enough, you start at a certain speed and then your cursor kind of speeds up as you hold it for longer. I don't know why, but I just can't do that. I need it to be pretty linear, the way that like if I press the stick to the left a little bit, or if I press it all the way, it goes the same amount.
Yeah, you need linear, not ramp or whatever it's called.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I kind of had to get in there and muck around with that a little bit. And your dash button, if you're doing the standard controls, is kind of tough. You have to like press a button and press circle at the same time. Or you can just use the modified control scheme, which is like, if you want to crouch, you hold circle. And if you want to dash, you just press it, which like, great, I'm in. Like that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a bit of a learning curve having played so much of this game, but I think once it evens out and once you kind of get a feel for what this game is now, it does end up feeling very fun and very satisfying.
Cool.
So Phantom Liberty, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
They added, essentially there was a part of Night City that you couldn't really go to.
Sure.
Dogtown is what it's called.
Dogtown?
Dogtown.
Oh, great. Love it.
It's essentially like a big stadium that they have like repurposed in the game. And there's like just an area that I don't think I was able to get into before. So it's essentially just a different space that you have access to now. The setup is that you get contacted by this like net runner who is in I think it's the new United States president's ship. And she's like, hey, we just got hit with a missile. We didn't blow up, but we're going to crash land in Dogtown and we need you to come help us.
Well,
I know that you're like an effective kind of mercenary person. Also, I'm offering you a way to get the relic out of your head, which is something that is established in the game, without killing you, right?
Great.
And so it kind of offers a different avenue to the end of the game, where before it essentially offered like, here's the three things you can do, the three directions you can go at the end of the game. And currently, at least, you know, the things I know now, which isn't, I haven't played the whole thing, but the things I know now is that this person, Songbird is her name, is offering you a different way out.
Songbird and Dogtown.
Songbird Dogtown. So yeah, the first part of the game is just like, you got to get into Dogtown to find where it's going to crash this plane. You then have to run into the president, who's a very fun character. She's like very brash and intense, but she's fun to hang out with. Oh God. And the best thing about it, the first time you run into Songbird, she essentially turns Johnny on mute for a little while. So just like, no Johnny for a little bit. Yes, dude, please.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. It's honestly it's such a different experience because like he's just constantly there. And in this situation, I'm really just talking to the people who I'm talking to, not having to hear Johnny be like, these guys are full of shit. Let's go to Chipotle so I can get extra beans. Dude, please.
His original name was Johnny Beanfingers.
Johnny Beanhand. So it's that was a welcome change. Anyway, I'm not hella far into it. It has just now, the point that I've gotten to, kind of opened up into like, all right, here you can go do your missions now. Whereas before it was a lot more of a linear experience for a little while, for like the first like hour or two. Similar to how the beginning of the game is when you're hanging out with Jackie. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I think that I've seen a lot of coverage from people saying like, hey, Cyberpunk is good now. I do think it was pretty good in the last update. But I understand where that interpretation is coming from, because I think this more represents what the game was promising originally.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know that it's necessarily like, 100% better or something like that. Like, the game is still there. So you would have had to have some kind of appreciation for what it was doing in the first place. But
sure,
I think that they have rounded the corner on being like, yeah, this is a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the criticisms of like, I want them to be a little bit more critical and like take into consideration the lore of Cyberpunk that was more critical of capitalism and capitalistic societies. But, that's still, as it stands, not super present.
Mm-hmm. What about Johnny Silverhand? He's right there, and you just put him on mute, Chase.
Dude,
can't have your beans and not eat them too.
But God, even when Johnny's there, I don't feel like it's properly criticizing capitalism. Again, I just feel like it's an angry team
because he's such a trope of himself.
Yeah, like he's a caricature of him, of Johnny.
Yeah, he's a caricature of himself. Sure, this is not the messenger you want.
No. So it's I had hoped that there would be more of a criticism there, but I also didn't expect like a total 180 from what they were saying in the first place. So it's like,
sure,
wasn't super let down about that,
mm-hmm.
but it's still a thing that I think about while I'm playing this game of like, you're depicting a really shitty society and a place that looks incredibly painful to exist. And there are some nods to like, yeah, fuck big corporations, but like how and why fuck big corporations? Like I think there's a little bit of a built-in idea of just like big company bad, and like, yes, big company bad, but like really hit them, like if you're going to make that criticism, like hit him where that might actually have some like valid criticism, like just let's fucking open up Noam Chomsky, man. Like let's dig in here and talk about it.
Sure.
Let's talk about how these people are non-unionized and being fucked by a system that normalizes things that shouldn't be normalized, and like has moved all the fucking Overton windows and all of the manufactured consent that's going on here. It's supported by 10 billionaires or whatever, like let's dig in. Let's get in there.
Let's get in it.
But sometimes it doesn't. And, I don't think that makes this a bad game, but that's something that I am noticing while I'm playing it. But also, gun feel good to shoot, man. And feel good to be a hacker, You're
hacking in this one.
I'm definitely hacking. I love the quick hacks of being able to like reboot someone's optics so that they can't see me for a second, so I can dash around and poke them or something.
It's very cyber. Just poke them.
Poke them. Let them know I'm there. Anyway, David.
Yes.
This will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week.
Which is?
Cyberspace, David.
Cyberspace. Cyberchase.
I love in video games where they depict cyberspace as a physical space. It's so goofy and so silly, and I really like it when they do it.
Sure, yeah.
Obviously, Cyberpunk is one of them. System Shock did this recently too, where it's like just such a goofy place that you get to go to. Happens in Mass Effect a couple of times.
Sure.
That was very fun. Fucking Mega Man Battle Network is a depiction of cyberspace. It's always just so funny how like people decide to visualize that stuff, because like it's inherently a pretty tough thing to visualize. And so how you do that, I always think is just like amazing.
Artist interpretation.
Yes, yeah.
Which is count Nier Automata when you're 9S and you're hacking the robots.
Yes. Yeah, and it turns into the like top-down kind of like bullet hell game. Totally, yeah. Yeah, where there's like kind of a metaphor involved in how that's happening.
Sure.
Same thing with Mega Man Battle Network, where you're like literally physically running around the internet. It's just hilarious and amazing. And like there are sometimes surprises in there. Honestly, Cyberpunk has a couple of moments that are like, hey, that was actually pretty cool how he decided to visualize this stuff, and like how being like really deep in the web, how does that look? It's I just think it's great. I think it's incredibly fun. Yeah,
and then you find Digimon.
And then you find Digiman. Yeah.
Digiman. A single man.
I'm made out of bits and bytes, dude. My name's Johnny Beanhands. I love refried beans, dude.
Johnny Beanhands is in the heart of the internet. The heart of cyberspace.
The heart... Kingdom Hearts is actually beans.
Instead of light coming out, it's just a wave of
so many beans. Black beans coming out of Kingdom Hearts.
Black beans. I was thinking pinto.
Okay, now we're talking.
We could do a little bit of both. What about lima beans? Garbanzo? What about little bean salad?
I feel like garbanzo beans are a little less funny than black beans and pinto beans coming out of Kingdom Hearts.
But garbanzo beans look like butts.
They do look a little bit like butts. That is true. But like hummus isn't that funny to me.
That's true.
Hummus is a serious topic.
Hummus does have a serious air about it, doesn't it? Because it's like a serious person's snack. Because it's like, oh, it's hummus.
Yeah,
it's good for you. It's
but
got
like just
protein and stuff.
Just a pile of beans. That's not. That's not sophisticated.
That's a dirt snack.
That's good. That's a good snack. Love a pile of beans.
So I know what to get you for Christmas. Just pile o' beans.
You show up at my house with a handful of beans.
There you go.
You can get more if you ask for double. They won't charge you, kid.
Just have beans in my pockets of my overcoat, just handing them out to the kids on the street. Merry Beanmas.
Happy Halloween and Merry Beanmas. Loose black beans.
Oh man, I would definitely have the cops called on me.
Yeah, I think so.
For sure.
That's probably some kind of misdemeanor.
Fair. Definitely fair at that point.
Hey, do you have something fueling your sense of optimism, David?
I do, Chase. It's flirting.
It's flirting. Ooh, wow.
If I'm playing an RPG where romance is an option, and I'm talking to any character, and there is a flirty option for my dialogue, I am always choosing that option. I'm always choosing the most flirtatious thing to say, even if it's to someone I don't care about at all, or someone who's terrible. I'm always trying to flirt.
This is news to me. I rarely take the flirty option.
Really? You're so serious, Chase. Lighten up, man.
I always want a professional relationship with my compatriots in these games, except for one. I will choose one.
You find your one person.
I am pedal to the metal, always flirting with that person. But if not, I usually don't, because I don't know if the game's gonna scorn me or if my partner's gonna find out in the game. I'm like, I don't want to hurt their digital feelings. That sucks.
My pedal is to the metal with everyone, Chase.
Yeah, I mean, from how the internet seems to be approaching Baldur's Gate, that seems to be a way that a lot of people are doing it.
That's what I did with The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Worked out just fine.
Everything worked out fine.
Worked out just fine. We're good.
No, yeah, I really hold back. I'm kind of a monogamous role player, if you will.
Sure, I hear you. I get it.
Yeah.
But there's also part of me, it's just like, what kind of dialogue do I get from this other person at this point? I'm always curious.
That's the Siren song, is that there's usually some kind of fun dialogue in there.
Exactly.
You know?
And I'm a sucker for a good dialogue.
I've been seeing Asterian's romance scenes. My man is spicy with the stuff that he's laying down.
He is spicy. He was the one I was in at the end of Act 1 in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
You have a big party with your druid and tiefling friends.
Yeah.
And I tried to flirt with Asterion. And it went well, but then I came back to talk to him again to see hey, is there anything else I can say? And he's like, oh, darling, I hope you're not here to try again. It's not very becoming of you. Oh, man, I just got called out. See you later. But he's just so sassy. He's a sassy, spicy man.
Yeah, it's very fun. I like Asterion a lot. I saw a scene where you can roll persuasion to make him beg for you.
Oh my God.
Spicy, David.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I need to follow this one to see where it goes.
I was watching a TikTok damn, video game got me blushing.
He does the top button of his shirt. Ooh.
I know.
Can't handle this. Lord have mercy.
Yeah. No, flirting in video games is fun when it lets you do it. Very good.
Low stakes.
Low stakes. Well, for you. For me, it's high stakes. I don't want to hurt their feelings, David.
That's very fair. It's very fair.
Do you want to move on to our main thing now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, welcome to Good Games. It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear. I jump scared myself that time.
I was about to say, you seemed frightened.
I was. It popped into my brain that I was like, all right, we got to start the segment now.
Yeah.
But even I was taken off guard at that time. You looked more prepared than I was. It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and gush all the things that we love about them. And this time, we were talking about a game called LocoRoco.
Ooh.
Probably farther on the actually good games scale.
Yeah, I would say so.
Than the normal ones we cover. But I was surprised to see that this game had some mixed reviews. It wasn't universal praise.
I think the aesthetic and the style is not for everybody.
Sure. Yeah.
right? Kind of that very goofy, very kind aesthetic.
Yeah. Also in 2006, I feel like the groundwork may have just not been there as much. Like,
look, this is a post-Katamari world right at this point, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Which I do want to talk about it. Those two games feel somehow very connected to one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, this one was suggested by Ponk on from the TWG Discord. Hello, Ponk. Thank you for your suggestion.
Thank you, Ponk.
I was excited to come back to this one. You had played this before, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that if you had a PSP and didn't have this game, that's kind of criminal.
It did kind of seem like a killer app or like a must-have for a little while there.
It was probably one of the top games on the system, honestly.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, all things considered. Yeah.
Totally. And I think there's reasons for that, which I would love to get into after I hit you with some hot stats, David.
Please, hit me.
Hot stats. Hot stats.
So LocoRoco came out September 5th of 2006 in North America for the, as you suggested, PlayStation Portable console.
Mm-hmm.
This was made by Japan Studio. That's the name of it, not Japan Studio. This is made by Japan Studio. A first party developer for Sony Interactive Entertainment, and they have done a bunch of games. Most notably, you got your Ape Escapes, you got your Gravity Rushes. This also is where Team Ico did most of their work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Ico, that is Shadow of the Colossus and The Last Guardian as well.
Yeah.
And how could we forget Knack, David?
Oh, did they really?
They made Knack. These are the Knack boys.
Dang. Knack boys.
I do have a review of this game from our friends at Joe Video, who had reviewed LocoRoco back in the day. I took their review, I ran it through Google Translate a number of times, one language into another, eventually arriving at what I present to you now, David, the artist's interpretation of this review.
Mm-hmm. I'm ready.
They said, an introduction to a lover is similar to a description of a painting, photograph, or a work of art. A sensitive subject, some hate it, others embrace it and offer unwavering support. To become one of them, we encourage you to pick up this UFO video game, which is incredibly beautiful, playful, funny, expressive, and addictive from start to finish. Looking for the original? You will have it. Looking for a drink to beat the summer heat? All you have to do is pour this cocktail of color and creativity into a glass and enjoy. And they gave that an 8.5 out of 10.
Oh my God. That last line. Whoa.
I know. I was shocked that made it through the
dang.
Google Translate mangling.
Wow. That was surprisingly lucid.
It was, but there's still like a playfulness about it.
Definitely. I wonder what the actual translation is.
An introduction to a lover.
That part was great.
Yeah.
Starting off with this, an introduction to a lover.
Somebody was feeling great when they wrote this review.
I mean, it's hard not to feel great after playing this game, to be honest.
It's true. It's true. So just like full disclosure here and like what we're going to talk about, I do want to talk about the things that are wonderful about this game because I think there's a lot of things in there.
Yes.
But there is like one brutal part of this game that I was really surprised to find playing.
Yeah.
LocoRoco is like a very straightforwardly mechanical, joyous experience and like is incredibly bright and chipper. But for whatever reason, in this game, they have enemies that are like these little like monsters that are kind of floating around in some levels. And it looks like they've like attacked a planet at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. They're on an asteroid and they hit the planet and then they invade essentially.
Yeah. And like the design of it just is pretty bad.
Yeah. The Mojas, yeah. Essentially, it's like a character that is all black. They have like tendrils that sort of like hang in a way that to me reads as hair. Yeah.
And they also have like their around their mouth is a particularly white part of their face.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really hard not to read them as blackface.
Yeah.
It's like they're ridiculous cartoon characters, everybody in here. And like that part of it just kind of stands out as like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah. It's a different time to be sure, not excusing it, but
sure, confusing
and seems out of place to say the least.
Yeah. It's like just, it's a joyous game. And then out of nowhere, there's like a minstrel, like blackface going on. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Do I think that this company is the people who work here are hardcore white supremacists? Probably not, if I had to guess. But like, it's got that kind of institutional racism where there was nobody in here that said, hey, maybe we can make these guys orange.
Yeah.
Like
This isn't a good call. This isn't a good look, everyone.
Yeah, can we modify this a little bit so it's because like I just don't think that it's that far away from being fine. It's just like the combination of things sure does look like blackface, and it's kind of painful whenever it shows up.
Absolutely, agreed. It was awkward and strange and just took away from the joy of the game.
Yes, yeah, which I think every other part of the game is hitting so hard on the joyous parts of it that I like if this is something that takes you out, or if like that is a glaring design choice, which it is, but if it's to the point where like you can't hang, I get that. It is understandable because it is like kind of clear to anybody in the United States, and like yes, this is a Japanese company, so like the context isn't going to be there, but it's a tough image to receive over here.
Yeah.
So like wanted to get that out of the way so it didn't feel like we like weren't addressing that, because I think it was like wild to fire this game up and that be one of the first things that happens. I was like, yo, what?
Yeah, it was like an immediate recognition of, oh, that's not good.
And something that like, I just didn't clock the first time I was playing it at all.
Yeah.
So all that considered, I still want to talk about what the rest of the game is doing. I didn't ask you the mechanics of this game. Are you able to explain what this game is?
Yeah. So I was reading online and about the concept for this game. And so we touched about it a little bit in the beginning, in that these aliens, these being aliens, crash land on this planet and then start attacking the denizens of this world, who are the LocoRocos, little amorphous blobs who are just happy-go-lucky, and then their friends, the Muis, and who are tiny little like people, essentially, right? And they have no idea how to fight back against these creatures who are coming onto this planet and eating them, essentially. So it's the planet itself is changing or helping the LocoRocos to move around and defeat the Mojas, which is why you tilt the landscape with the left and the right bumpers, so you can tilt it left, you can tilt it right, and you are a blob, a circle. You're playing as the LocoRoco, and that will tilt you down to the right or to the left and get you around the terrain. And the other thing you can do is you can jump as well. So you can get some speed going down a hill, and then you can hold both the left and the right bumper at the same time, and then release, and then get a good jump going across a chasm to get to a different area. And of course, it's a PSP game originally, so it's made to have like little bite-sized levels where you're trying to get a lot of collectibles. So you're trying to get all these little like fly berry type things, and then actual berries, which give you like more LocoRocos, because you start off as one small guy, and then as you eat more things, you get more LocoRocos who combine into to create one gigantic LocoRoco.
Yes.
Who has a different physics and gravity, and can get through different spaces or more easily or not as easily as just a singular LocoRoco can.
Yeah.
And in some points you do have to split your giant blob that's like 15 LocoRocos into all 15 of them individually to get through different spaces. So it's just trying to traverse the world with these tilt controls, the jumping, and then the ability to be a big LocoRoco or a bunch of little tiny LocoRocos, and solving small puzzles to get around, and of course finding hidden areas to get more berries, get more little flies or whatever they are, and then get a higher score at the end of the level.
It is a like deceivingly simple game when you're playing it, but I was like, oh my God, this might actually be kind of tough to explain.
It is
what
hard.
Is going on.
It is like nothing else. Like you can't just be like, oh yeah, it's a 3D action platformer. It is a unique game.
Yeah, and like I think it's probably closest to a platformer, but that really like undersells all the shit that's happening in this game.
Yeah, there's timing and there's jumping, but that's kind of where it ends with the platform, because you're not moving your character around, you're letting them fall. You're controlling their speed via gravity and moving the world around. So it's a very different experience than just be like, okay, I run and I jump. It is, I kind of slide, but no, I don't have enough speed, so I have to go back the other way and like really try to get a lot of momentum into this, and then I can get it, but then I did too much. And it's like this trial and error aspect to it that is, I think, different than a platformer.
Yeah. Totally. What did you think about this game?
Besides the Mojas, I loved this game. This game was great. I think
it's so much fucking fun.
It's so much fun. The whole time playing it, I was thinking to myself, wow, I don't think this often, but I was thinking that this game really, really benefits from the remaster to a large screen.
My God. Yeah, seriously.
Because now I can really appreciate the colors, the level design, the intricate animation that they've put into everything in the whole level. You know, going from a small PSP screen to then having this on my big TV was, oh my goodness, the colors popped. It looked great. You can see, I never realized that the little LocoRocos are singing the whole time that you're going through these levels. Just having a blast. And like you said, it is deceptively difficult as well. You know, you can just blast through the level, no problem, and just have a great time. But if you want to get like all the little secret hidden areas, you really have to time things correctly. Otherwise, you're just gonna end up somewhere where you can't get back to where you were before, and you have to start the whole level over. Yeah. Because if you fall down a chasm at a certain point in a lot of these levels, you can't go back and get another berry to get all 20 LocoRocos to be with you at the end of the level. So definitely a lot of skill to get the high score, but can still be very enjoyable for people who just want to go through and just plow through the level.
That's mostly how I was playing. I was like not necessarily concerned with getting everything. I was like, I think that the game offers just like such a unique experience that I was like, I just want to see what's in the next world.
Absolutely.
Every time I was playing.
I loved the frog world where you come out its butt at the end.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, he like eats you in the beginning and you go through his like body. Like it's a Magic School Bus episode or something.
Great. So good. And then of course, how could we talk about what's great about this game and not talk about the music?
I know. So like I was so surprised about this because I didn't remember the music being such a big part of this game.
Same thing of why I think this does so much better on a big screen.
Yeah.
Is because the PSP's little tiny speakers probably did just not do this justice whatsoever. Because now I'm playing it on my soundbar. I'm like, oh man, this is a jam. All of them jams, straight up jams.
It's so surprising. I had totally forgotten how big of a role music plays in this game. Like you were saying, all the LocoRocos are constantly like singing in the game.
Yeah.
If you split them apart, you will see their little mouths moving and like singing a different part of the song. The arrangement of the song will change depending on if you're a big LocoRoco or like many little ones.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so amazing. I'll probably play one of the songs here.
Yeah.
Do you want to listen to it together so we can talk about it, or do you just want to do you remember most of the tracks in there?
You can play it, but also I just want to say that it's also fun going through these levels because depending on how many LocoRocos you have, you can access different levels by being like what I think carolers think they are to the world of just like going up to these random people and just start singing a cappella, and then they're just like, damn, that was tight, and then they just open up a new area for you to go in. It's so good.
I would love to play Boo Boo Parachu for you.
I don't know which one that is, but I'm ready for it.
You will in a moment because it's like one. It's so recognizable.
Let's hear it.
It's like damn near like a surf rock song.
Yeah, so this is the theme for the yellow LocoRoco, who is supposed to be the energetic kid LocoRoco. I don't know if you looked this up about all the different characters. They're all different like descriptors.
Oh, that's amazing. No, I didn't see that.
And they've characterized them too.
It's like this is the song that you sing as the LocoRocos, like a cappella, to get somebody to be like, damn, that was a cool song.
This is the first song too, I think, of the first level. This is what they open with. They're coming for you.
It's so good. It is so upbeat and wild.
Yeah, I'm just like, this is probably like a good version of Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like it's definitely, high-pitched voices, but it's arranged well, and it's not grating like Alvin the Chipmunks is to me personally. Sorry if people are big Alvin the Chipmunks fans out there. But
it sounds like kids are singing, not adults who have been pitched down.
Exactly. It sounds like kids. Kind of gives me like, for some reason, baby metal vibes. I think just the energy behind it.
Yeah.
Which is weird. But probably not at all metal, of course, but just joyous.
But yeah, the contrast of like kind of a high-pitched, chipper voice singing over like pretty energetic music behind it.
Exactly, yeah.
It's amazing. Like I think so much of this is so cool. I do want to play one more because like I was reading interviews with the creators and stuff like that, and they said that there were so many different kinds of like musical genres that they were influenced by.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that in every level. Every level sounds a little different.
Yeah.
And so I want to jump to like one that is a little bit different from that to this one, which is Pink's theme,
yeah,
which is like a bossa nova.
Yeah, it's
sound.
like very French feeling almost. Yeah.
Another extremely Katamari Damacy sounding song.
Yeah, this one intensely Katamari Damacy. I was reading that they also asked the composers to use as much real instrumentation as they could.
Yeah.
To make it feel more alive. I'm just like, that was a great move.
It's amazing because like I think that shows when you're hearing it is that the songs all sound like very natural in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It does, like there's no electric, distorted guitars or anything. There is like, electric instruments in there, but it's a light touch. So it does feel like almost like there is a group of kids just like banging on drums and making this song.
Yeah. Sorry, when you said electric distorted guitar, I thought there's a secret Steve Vai level or something in here. It's just Halo.
Steve Vai did the Halo level in LocoRoco.
The warthogs in the background escaping the level with you.
So yeah, I was like totally bowled over by the music in this game. I thought it was so good. Every track had something totally different. The vibe is always very different in the songs that they're doing. I like I really enjoy the Peanuts Christmas album a lot.
Sure, yeah.
And it has a similar thing, the like Christmas time is here. Same thing of like kids singing.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's so rarely done well,
Sure.
Oftentimes it is, like you were saying, either Alvin and the Chipmunks or like Kids Bop or something like that.
Sure.
And I think what this game does so well is that it is oftentimes just communicating like unfiltered childlike joy in this game, where it's just like, I have so much energy. Everything is fucking awesome. And like, I'm going to sing about that and hit this drum.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so good. I think it totally matches the vibe of the game, which is also doing that. I think it's trying to communicate just joy most of the time that you're playing.
Absolutely. This game, that's what I was thinking. That was one of the first things that I thought of when I played this game was, how can you be like in a bad mood and play this game?
Yeah.
And that this game is just distilled joy. It just really hits that so hard, intensely so. And just playing, I was playing this in Chicory yesterday. I'm just like, I felt great.
Oh, yeah.
I felt great after playing video games yesterday. I'm like, man, I'm in such a good mood. I had such a good sleep. It was great way to fight the Sunday scaries yesterday was LocoRoco and Chicory. Just like, I feel great. I have space for my emotions. I'm touch of joy right now.
Sure.
Felt good.
It's very good. It's, I don't know. I was reading about how this game, one of the people who worked on it and one of the like main creators, Tsutomu Kouno, I think is how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
And he had worked on this and Ico. And that's as far as Wiki tells me about his game history.
Mm-hmm.
But I really feel the influence of stuff like Ico here. Which I know is like kind of a strange comparison because Ico is a much more like somber game.
Yeah.
And is trying to communicate different stuff. But I think that both of these games are able to communicate a lot without actually giving you a lot of text to chew on.
Sure.
That they're communicating a lot through just like the imagery, the music, literally how your character moves and stuff like that, which is kind of incredible. It's always shocking to me to see just this kind of creativity on display this long ago.
Uh-huh.
That like, in what Ico came out in like 2001, like that's a long time ago for people to be able to figure out like, here's how video games can be artistic and communicate emotion without actually like saying stuff.
Well, Ico was one of the first games where people were like, hey, could games be art?
Yeah, it definitely was popping up at that point. And just like, games had been very much considered like a toy up to that point.
Yeah.
And it's helpful to remove ourselves from that moment because like obviously they are. And I think that I've said this before, but I'm pretty sure like I feel like games have been art long before
absolutely
a quote unquote serious game came along.
Yeah.
And so like it's fun to look back, especially on LocoRoco, because God, this game, the mission that it gives itself and what it is trying to do, it just fucking nails.
Yeah.
It's like so effective at communicating this like unbridled sense of joy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
In like every moment. There is not a second of downtime.
Yeah. No, it's just joy is coming at you fast in this game.
Yeah.
And you just put out your hands and just try to scoop as much as you can because it's coming for you.
Don't get mad at me, Sonic heads, but this feels like what I want Sonic to be most of the time. Where like
I could see that.
I don't know that there's a lot of like super challenging parts in LocoRoco. You know, like there are moments where I have to like kind of consider where I'm going, or like, you know, if I wanted to get the high score, I think that would be more challenging. But usually I'm kind of just there for the thrill ride of it. You know?
If you're just blasting to the level, yeah. But as I definitely was lurking around, it definitely, if you're trying to get the high score, there's some challenge, but continue.
Yeah. And like, I think that's a good model for stuff because Sonic very much feels like a game where I don't have a choice on whether or not I'm going to take the challenging route. All of it is pretty tough. Mm-hmm. And like, it wants to also be a game where you go very fast and it's like a thrill ride, but then sometimes I will just totally stop, hit like a spike pit and be like, oh man, I wanted to keep running. Whereas like LocoRoco, it will put you through one of those like air geysers or whatever and do like a loop-de-loop and spit you out somewhere else. And it's just like amazing all the time. Always fun.
Yeah, this might seem crazy, but honestly, when I was playing it, it felt somewhat reminiscent of Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, no, totally. Especially the movement.
The movement, right? Instead of being on the spheres, you are the sphere. Mm-hmm. But more, I think that it strikes that balance between being very accessible and enjoyable at a, you know, just going through the level and experiencing it, which I think is something that all Mario games excel at. But then also having this deeper layer of, okay, to get the highest score and to really like be at the pinnacle of this game, you have to really kind of know what you're doing and control this well. And then, of course, for Mario Galaxy, just the part where you are getting pulled through the geysers and you have these moments where you're just sucking up all these little collectibles, just really reminded me of those parts where you're going between the planets and you're just zooming through space, enjoying the views, and you're getting all these star bits at the same time.
Yeah.
Just a fun way to just make it feel like, okay, I'm not always having to be in control and I'm still getting something out of this beyond just the, you know, visual experience of this motion. So it's a nice way to just let you relax a little bit and have a lot of fun just seeing them do some crazy loop-de-loop for you.
Yeah. It's really wonderful. It's cool. Like, it's hard for me to say much more than like, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree that like the just visualizing how something moves here is fun to watch. Mm-hmm. I saw some criticisms that this is like an interactive screensaver, and like I think I understand the spirit of that criticism, but like I just think there's more to it than that.
Yeah,
it sort of ignores the fact that you are still controlling these little guys, and like just because there is a small amount of input doesn't mean that is like a lesser experience. Yeah, and also like this game feels so supremely designed for the PSP.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think smartly, the just being able to tilt this guy is much better than just being able to move him. Mm-hmm. And because the PSPs, like for whatever reason, those shoulder buttons were very prominent on the design of the physical PSP.
It had some good shoulder buttons.
Yeah. And so I think it's smart to just like, how do you naturally hold this system? And you usually have your fingers on the triggers, but not necessarily on like the thumbsticks and the buttons and all that shit. And so to design something around like, well, let's not worry about, you know, not being a PlayStation 2 controller with 2 analog sticks. I feel like you saw that a lot on those games where they were hunting for, how do we do shooters without another stick?
Yeah.
And like, I think the answer is you do LocoRoco, where you have the very designed input for this system that just totally works.
Yeah.
I feel like you saw that a lot in like the 3D or just even the DS era, where there was a bunch of games that were specifically designed for the DS, like, I don't know, Rhythm Heaven or whatever.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is perfect. This is exactly what needs to be on this system.
Yeah. Because I think there is a difference between a game that you can make on a portable system and a game that has portability in mind, right? Because like, you know, when I am on an airplane or if I am driving passenger in a car, a game that really requires a lot of fine dexterity is so much harder to play than something like LocoRoco, where I just push 2 buttons and it's super easy, and I just kind of have to balance this character on this world. So when you're thinking about it's clear that they just thought about, okay, people who are playing this, we're making this easy for you to play when you yourself are also in motion and things are shaking, right? It's so much better than having to press the buttons or use the nubbin, as they call it on the PSP. And I think it just makes it a better experience. And I don't think that it's any worse on a controller. It's just a different way of playing. It just feels like an indie game, and I think that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was definitely like indie game before indie games.
Yeah,
it's cool. I like it. And yeah, you're right. Like I was sort of like gobsmacked at how fucking good this looks on a big TV.
So good. My goodness.
It's so good. The colors are so vibrant. Just having any character just be like one flat shade of color, it reads so amazing. It looks so good. Also, big shout out to the sound effect that the LocoRoco make when they're coming back together. When you're holding the circle button, though. It sounds like children charging. What's going on there?
Let's go.
It's so funny. I find it very cute, very adorable without like, I don't know. It's a game that is cute without trying to be like cutesy, if that makes any sense.
Sure. No, that makes total sense. It's just, it somehow makes it feel feasible that you are in this world where these creatures just exist and they're not just like some crazy cutesy, I don't know, Disneyland character or something. You know?
Totally. It's amazing. It's transportive.
Absolutely. Can I just mention one thing really quick?
Of course.
Did you notice the Babadook in the main title screen of this game?
What is he doing in there?
Did you see that creature there? What?
It's fully the Babadook.
Yeah. What was that thing?
I have no idea.
He's
just like in the menu.
I know. I have not finished the game, so I can't say if his character is ever given purpose beyond that he's just hanging out with the LocoRocos on the main screen. But definitely when I saw him, I was like, that is for sure the Babadook.
Yes, no, absolutely. I know the guy you're talking about.
Some sinister energy to this game.
Just lurking back there.
It's lurking, right? Menacing.
I was in the same interview that I was reading with the creators. They were talking about like what they wanted for this game, and I think it's clear that they were aiming for a kind of like childlike audience with this game, with how easy it was to play and sort of the tone of it all, which is really cool. Somebody had said like, what do you hope people will do when the like remaster of this game comes out? It was about the time that the one was coming out for PlayStation 4, which is this version that we played. And one of the creators was just like, I hope a bunch of kids play it. I hope a bunch of kids who didn't play it before play it, which is kind of sweet and nice that they're not like, I hope this game makes a bunch of fucking money, but like we made this experience for a young audience, and I hope that they get to enjoy it now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hope more kids play this. I actually kind of want to play this one with Mallory's nieces and see if they vibe with it.
It could be totally hit or miss. I have no idea. They might be like, this is stupid and like doesn't control the way I want it to.
It might be simple enough for them though.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's so straightforward as far as what you can or can't do that it's like, all right, well, maybe we can make this work. We've said this before, but like I find that games that are like marketed as kid games are usually very bad. Like not just that I don't enjoy them, but like they're kind of poorly made.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice to have a game that is definitely like going for like everybody can enjoy this game, but it's clearly like more oriented towards like kids, and have it also be like impeccably made, and the controls are so good.
Yeah.
And the music is amazing. They also like made a language for this game.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like essentially, I think, a modified version of Japanese.
Yeah.
But it's essentially like gibberish in Japanese. And so like what the creators had said they wanted to do there was make something that everybody doesn't know what it means. And so it's kind of universally approachable. It's not excluding anyone because no one knows really what is happening here. And so the argument being that like everybody can enjoy, which that's so nice. That's such a good approach.
I know. It's like they say that and then they have the mojas. I'm like, what happened?
God, yeah. Again, my read feels like this is oversight rather than intent, but like, you know, I obviously can't know, but it's, you know, the mojo stuff is pretty painful on top of all of that.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So yeah, point being, I think that like there's a lot to love here. If you can sort of let the big brutal thing about this game sit next to you while you play it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot, I think there's a lot to love here, and to just like, I think there's a lot in there that's worth looking at the very least.
Absolutely. Agreed.
And the music bangs.
Music bangs. At least listen to the soundtrack.
Yeah, true. There's so many songs too. There's like 60 songs in there.
Man, did you listen to all of the different LocoRoco's themes?
Yes, amazing. All of them are so good.
I really loved the Black LocoRoco's theme. That one was so good.
I liked Blue specifically.
Blue sounded like a lounge singer. I liked that one too.
Yes, yeah. Big, goofy, oafy sounding dude. It's really good.
Red was like Shaggy.
Yes, yeah.
I was like, it's just Shaggy right now. Green reminded me, at least in the beginning, of Cat Stevens. I was like, okay, we got some Cat Stevens going on here.
Yeah, damn.
A deep cut. But they all were so different and unique. It was great.
No, it's great.
A pleasure.
Clearly a game that was built by somebody who's not just trying to build a video game, that they have like a lot of other influences being brought in here.
Yeah.
And like music is such a big part of this one, without it being like a rhythm game or something, you know?
Yeah, not just a developer, but an artist.
Yes, yeah. And that's the same way that Katamari Damacy got built too. It's from somebody who wasn't necessarily part of like engineering, that they were an artist first. And they're like, what if we just made a game about rolling?
Like, what?
Do you have anything else to say about LocoRoco, David?
I love it. It's a great game.
Yeah,
I think it's even better now than it was when it released on the PSP, because you can play it on a big screen with good audio. So it's great.
I totally agree. I think that my palate is much more open to a game like this now. I think even when I played it then, I was a little bit like, okay, but like, you know, where's the rest of the game?
Where's the guns? Where's
the guns and the babes?
Yeah.
God. But like, I'm so open to this experience where the game is just taking me on a ride. It's just so enjoyable.
It does feel like a game that was a little bit ahead of its time, doesn't it?
Yeah. I always hesitate to say something is ahead of its time, but this one does feel like a case where it's like, if this released today, this game would like explode immediately.
Yeah, it'd be all over the place.
Ponk, thank you for your suggestion.
Yeah, thank you. It's great.
Hello, gamers. Welcome to the outro. If you want to interact with us, you can do so at podtimism.com. That has links to our email and our Twitter, and probably more effectively, our Discord link that you can come and hang out in there. It's a good time. There's lots of pods in there. Into the Aether's in there. Frog of the Week is in there. Can't Let It Go is in there now. Exciting times at the worst garbage.
Look at us grow.
Look at us go. Look at us grow. We're like a LocoRoco.
Oh.
We're all sort of like screaming and
forming into one. We got 4 locos now.
Yeah, we're forming into one blob.
4 locos?
It's
nice. Is it really 4 podcasts now?
Yeah, it is a 4 loco now.
Well, only 90s kids will remember.
Only 90s kids will remember a 4 loco. So yeah, that's where you can get in touch with us. Thank you, Scout Wilkinson, for our art. She's done a great job.
Thank you, Scout.
Our podcast art. Yeah, that's it. Plain and simple. She's doing great work. Scouts commissions are open right now. So if you want to get a commission, you can do that. Yeah, that's it. She's doing great work. Thank you to the Worst Garbage for having us on the network.
Yeah, thank you.
Very excited to be here. It's exciting times right now. So appreciate having us on here to talk about video games. And to you, the person who's listening to this, thank you for listening to this. We appreciate your support in listenership and appreciate everybody chiming in the Discord to talk about their experiences with episodes and the Kingdom Hearts episode and all that sort of stuff. It's very encouraging and cool to read people's experiences with that game, and this podcast means a lot. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. It was great.
David, do you have any gaming wisdom?
I do.
What is it?
You know, sometimes life feels like a big slide. And sometimes there's a delicious looking berry and you just want to chomp it.
Yeah.
And then eating that berry makes you go faster down that slide.
It's true.
And you see a lot of different places that you could go, but hey, you're having a good time on this slide and there ain't nothing wrong. Just seeing where that takes you and just enjoying the ride.
Damn, good gaming wisdom. Sometimes we come in here and make jokes, and sometimes David drops hot actual wisdom.
This LocoRoco's got me pumping, baby.
Yeah, true. God, what a good game.
Really, you're just joyous. It's so good.
Wake up, kid. We gotta feel joy through a video game.
Had my beautiful, joyous dream, and then Johnny just wakes me up, says, "Hey, kid, capitalism still sucks. LocoRoco just made $20 off of you while you were asleep."
It's me, Johnny Beanhand. We gotta go to Chipotle, kids.
Beanhands. I really like Johnny Beanhands, and
it does have a bit of a charm to him, doesn't it?
Canonically, I just imagine that he had kids called him Johnny Beanhands when he was young, and then it just made him have to have the silver hands when he's older to get chromed out. So that's his villain origin story to me.
I need webbed chromed hands so I can hold more beans, kid.
Can steal anything in all of Night City. The only thing they can't touch is beans.
Forbidden. I got kicked out of the Night City Chipotle.
The only thing
not allowed in anymore.
The only thing stronger than Johnny Silverhand, the Night City Chipotle.
They don't take any shit.
They don't take no. Those are hardened workers there. They have a union. That's why. It's in their contract. True. No Johnny Silverhand allowed.
Yeah, no Johnny Beanhands in here. He will try and get triple the amount of beans that belong in a burrito bowl.
He'll just look at you and then I'd be like, just give me another bean. Fight the man. Fight the man. How much they pay you, huh? Give me another bean.
How many beans are they paying you?
Right. How many beans is your time worth?
I could do this calculation. I'm a purveyor of Chipotle. I could figure this out, David.
Are you a purveyor of Chipotle?
I'm a big Chipotle guy.
Are you going to factor in the fact that you get it door dashed?
I don't know, because I do that. That does happen.
You do that.
Anyway, bean hands. We'll see you next week.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
TWG, the worst garbage, online.